we're going to go ahead and bring the meeting to order. I'm going to call roll call. We might have a few members straggling in. So I have myself, Kaylee Carnahan. Cindy Mason is on her way. Paula Clark here. Tom Schott is also, I believe, is on his way. Denise
here.
Johnson, Eric Swank
Here.
Judd Bars, and then we have Kyle not with us right now, not doing that right now. I just want to go ahead and set expectations for the meeting, what's going to be happening today. So I first of all appreciate everybody coming and taking the time out of their day. I know that this is maybe something you didn't want to do, but it's time out of your day. So I really appreciate you doing that. We have 2 items on the agenda for today, both with petitions coming from Attica Vacation Rentals. The first that we're going to hear about today is regarding the trailer park property on Perry Street. And the second will be from Attica Vacation Rentals again, and it's about the former elementary school. Our hope is that the first one won't take very long, and that we'll have more time for the second portion, because I think that's what a lot of us are here for, the elementary school. We know that meeting might take a longer amount of time, and we only have set aside about an hour for this meeting, because we have another meeting after this. But we want to make sure we hear from anyone and everyone wanting to speak. So we want to let you know now that we're going to go ahead and extend this meeting out to next Monday as well. That'll be Monday, June 15th at 5 o'clock. So if somebody couldn't make it right now at 4, that hopefully if they needed to be off work, whatever, that they will have the time next meeting. So once we finish up that first petition, Kyle is going to present to us what his plans currently are to do with the parcels and the property. So like I said, our biggest thing is we want to take in as much information as we can. Any concerns that you all have, we want to be able to make informed decisions. And our biggest thing is we want to make sure that everybody has the chance to speak. So to get started right away, I think Paula has something she'd like to address quickly.
Yes. I'm addressing in response to the stated request that I recuse myself. I'm on this committee as a community member. I represent the community, not myself. I assure you that neither myself or my husband receive or will receive any budget on us. We have absolutely no financial or personal interest in the outcome of this petition. My husband is the HR manager for the 4 companies located at the Badlands and has nothing to do with any of the building projects spearheaded by Kyle Nuss. As such, I have no legal responsibility to recuse myself. I sincerely respect your right to disagree with the proposed use of the property. I will listen with an open mind to your input and the input from all the community members.
So with that, we are going to turn it over to Judd Bars, who will be walking us through the first petition for the Perry Street property.
On the Perry Street property, if you recall, you have rezoned the old trailer park that's on the west side of Perry Street from M2 industrial to R3. And on the trailer park on the right side, which is kind of similar in size, is zoned S suburban residential zoning. And so this petition addresses, well, before I go on what the petition addresses, and then the Plan Commission has approved a residential development plan that covered both sides of Perry Street, up to 18 units on each side in this 2.5 acres each area. And this petition tonight, what he's asking to do is to change the S suburban residential zoning on the right side to R3 so that it matches across the street what he had changed already. And then he purchased the 2 lots that were owned by Christopher Wilson that are immediately south of the trailer park on the west side. And that's zoned M2 or I2, or it's zoned something not residential, despite that there's a house there. He wants that to change the zoning on that also to R3 and to expand the residential development plan on the west side of Perry Street to have from up instead of 18 units, up to 20 units, 2 additional units on the Christopher Wilson property that used to be Christopher Wilson property that's now owned by one of Mr. Knight's companies. And those are the three things: to rezone the right side from suburban to R3, to rezone the west side south of the current trailer park from M2, I believe, but possibly I2 to R3 to match the trailer park, and to expand the residential development plan on the west side of Perry from up to 18 units to up to 20 units because of that additional Christopher Wilson real estate.
Can we do it all as one motion, or do they have to be three separate?
So
We need to
he's gonna explain his plan. I don't think his building plans changed, but I'll let him talk about what his plans are. I would I told them the three things that were happening in the first petition on Perry Street. And why don't you run through your understanding of what will happen if they act positively and the city council acts positively on your petition for Perry Street?
So a lot of the rezoning, as he said, was just kind of clean it up for the books and everything and make it consistent with everything that's going on in the town. Really, it already goes along with the project that we had pitched last time. Same use, same exact models, same exact houses. It just so happened that unfortunately, there was I think a sewer issue or something with the existing trailer that was there owned by Mr. Wilson, and then we purchased that and just want to basically add that in our existing project.
So I was, 1 second here, so the rezoning is from M2 to R3, is what it currently is, which is an industrial zoning.
That's what the Chris Wilson property is.
Was M2 industrial.
Yeah, and that whole side was basically kind of arguably miszoned,
Mhm.
so this is basically to correct that one.
Questions from the board?
I'm sorry?
Questions from the board to Kyle?
Yeah, I think we need to clean it up. So I make a motion that we clean it up and that we make all three properties R3 and extend. For the two.
Are there any other questions? And then we would want to take comments from the crowd first.
Okay,
If there's anyone here, that's, so it's due process, it was published and note stuff and whoever I speak. The neighbors, I will say for the most part, were like Demeter and ADM.
mhm.
So there weren't many people noticed up for this, but
I don't think that it changes anything that we had already planned on doing. It looks like we're just adding 2 parcels and changing the actual zoning to match what it should be,
Right.
which it shouldn't be M2. So
M3 or R3.
No,
Two.
M2 to R3.
M2.
Yeah, M2 to R3. Yeah, they should all be R3.
were there any other questions for Kyle from the board?
No questions.
And was there anyone here that wanted to be heard on the petition relating to just the Perry Street, the former trailer park area? If you could raise your hand if you wanted to address the plan commission. Okay.
So
Now
go ahead.
it's-
Go ahead.
Okay, so now we can do it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I make the motion to accept what we've discussed and to change all the properties to R3 and allow the extension on the west side for the 2 other parcels. I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
2 copies of the certification to the city council, that it was a favorable recommendation.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay.
So the second petition is to rezone the former Attica Elementary School property. And that rezoning is from R1, you build schools in R1 zones. To, part of it was gonna be residential and part of it was gonna be business. And Mr. Nost was here to talk about his plans for that. I think everybody is interested to hear. And notices were sent to all of the adjacent property owners, and there were 30 or 31 adjacent property owners that were noticed up on this. And he is in the process of purchasing this from the school. The school has consented to him asking for this change. It'll be in the name of one of his companies if the sale goes through. One of the conditions of the sale is that the zoning be appropriate, so it's not, this is one part of his offer to purchase to the school, and the school's aware of that condition. And so I'll let him present what his plans are, and then the order of things should be, then the board should ask, the commission should ask Mr. Nost whatever questions you have about it, and then you would open it up and let the audience be heard. And I would begin with the people who receive certified mailings. The adjacent landowner should be heard first, and then everybody else should be heard. And that will likely take us past 5 o'clock. So that was why we will need a continuance, but that's kind of how I foresaw this taking place. And so, Mr. Nost.
What everybody came for, right?
Yes.
Does everybody have popcorn and ready for
Yes.
some excitement? All right. So basically, this has not been a short-term project for us by any means. I'll let girls do this. I want to tell a story before we get too deep into this. So as you guys know, that is a major piece of property, and I'll kind of, is it okay to be obviously a big piece of property for our town. I also want to say that, tourism is a major part of our town. Whether you like the Badlands or not, there's still so many other reasons to come to the town. We have 7 wedding venues in our area that does not have lodging. We have a top 10 golf course in the state. We have Turkey Run. We have Ravine Park. So there's a lot of reasons to come to our town. You look at a lot of the community is asking for change and all these things, and they want growth and all this kind of stuff. It takes something like this to stimulate that. This project, I'll be honest, I walked away from it 3 times. It is a massive undertaking. This is not something that is going to be easy. And frankly, we had visioned a hotel at the Badlands at one point. As anybody that's in construction would probably attest, it is cheaper to start over than to remodel things. But nonetheless, this building is there. As a community and a town, we have to face that. It's there. Something has to happen. Every day that we wait, something is happening. There's another weed, there's another leak, there's another crack in the asphalt. Things happen. So we've worked with the school for probably about a year to make this happen. As you guys may or may not know, that building was up for open bid multiple times. There was essentially one other bid for that building. We offered 17 times that bid, okay? We offered $500,000 for that building. There isn't outside investment. It is the 3 of us in this room and a bank, right? So this isn't outside people building this project. This is us as community. People have kind of addressed that, the traveling and things like that. Literally, to get to this hotel from the Badlands, you have to drive by Kendall's house. This is not something that we're hands off. We live in another community. We are here. We are investing. It's very important to us. As I said, looked at walking away from this. It took, I'll be honest, I'm a spiritual person. I was listening to a sermon, and it came to me, and I felt a calling to do this project. So, crazy story. If you walk through that building, or if you've had the chance, it is literally like the school walked out. And that's not a disrespect to them. They moved forward. They got new things. There's boxes of old trash, different things. So walking through that, and it's funny, of all this stuff, I sit there and I will have this, if the project goes forward, I'll have this framed. This is Kendall's third or fourth grade picture that I walked by and was sitting on top of a box as I was debating on doing this project. Okay, is something that we are heartfelt about and we believe in. And I want you guys, as we talk, I know almost all of you in some capacity. I'm not a voice, or we're not voices from outside of the town. We are citizens here, and obviously the success of something like this would benefit us and everybody. That's how we feel. And the one time I don't get big stuff, I apologize that the pictures are a little small, but you guys are welcome to come up, take a look, ask lots of questions. Kind of want to explain the overall project. So I don't know if you guys know that building is 100,000 square foot. Okay, that is a massive building. So it is conducive to a lot of different things. Our main field that we feel is probably the most important is the hotel aspect. Okay, basically the whole second floor, our vision is to be able to make 35 to 40 rooms of hotel space on the second floor. So basically every classroom is divided in half, and you'll see the depictions in there, and guys, you can see the depictions in the pictures there. It works out perfectly. Part of what made our project most feasible for this is structurally, the building is set up for what we want to do. There is no major exterior construction. And honestly, the building is built fantastically well. It's almost solid concrete and still beams. So for our purpose, most of everything we want to do fits in the existing framework of what the building was designed for. Everything from the stairways being wide, the hallways, every aspect. Second use would be a restaurant. It's not my love to be back in a restaurant business per se. We may outsource that to somebody else. Or we may take it on ourselves, but the facility itself does need a restaurant. The other big aspect of that is there is the old gymnasium. It's a great space for indoor events, whether it be wedding, meetings, reunions, whatever it may be. It's a perfect use for that. Second, in the old days, if you guys had remembered, anybody that went to school there, the stage was actually dual-faced. It faced the auditorium. So basically, our vision is to connect that. So basically, it can be kind of multi-use, whether the band would play into the event space or into the restaurant space, but it does kind of fit well. Kitchen space is already there from the cafeteria, so there's minimal changes there. The other big element of this is on the Main Street side of it, or the side facing the bank. There would be 7 commercial spaces. Those spaces are not for us to fill. I don't have businesses that are going to go in there. This is for local businesses, whether it be coffee shops, bakery, anything like that, hairdressers, anything that fits in that. It would be all utilized to the community. Still leaves us with approximately 20 to almost 40,000 square foot of total flex space. So we had envisioned like exercise facility. Something dual use to the hotel, meeting spaces, conference spaces, other commercial spaces. You guys may or may not know, we have the current community center down, which is the old VFW. One of our ideas was to repurpose some of that space back up into the school. You can imagine, I think that building's like 2,000 to 3,000 square foot. That's a peanut in the realm of that. The other couple things that I wanted to talk about is traffic was a big forefront of what people were concerned about. If you've noticed, if you ever been there, basically the primary entrance was facing the residential side of the building. That's where the kids mostly went in and out, and the parking lots that were there were isolated. Part of what we were going to do is basically connect those 2 parking lots so that basically you can free flow. You're not committed to having to go to the back side of the building. Football field, that was another big part of this acquisition. What do you do with a giant football field? We put in for basically, and when we pitch this stuff and when we do this, you have to it is very challenging to try to anticipate what something's going to happen 5, 10, 20 years down the road. So we put in for residential space and venue space. So you might ask, what's a venue space? Venue space, if you look, I think that space is, I think the whole parcel is like 6-7 acres, somewhere in there. It would be 2 to 3 acres. There is not like this massive space that we could have like Indianapolis-sized Ruoff concerts. That's not what this is all about. But there is a lot of time, as you guys would know, like even the city has music down there right in the center of town. But when we say venue space, it's to be multi-purpose and give us a little bit of flexibility. We do not have immediate development plans for that. But for example, something that would fall into that, the Irwins, they came to me about soccer, that they did not have a full-size soccer field under the lights. We want to be able to utilize that for community-side projects, whatever it may be, and then be able to develop into it down the road if we needed parking, things like that.
Kind of reiterating what he already said too, there's about 30,000 square foot of extra space. Extra space can be used for various purposes, including community centers, including community activity, amenities, and those types of things. So from the beginning, these drawings were designed to be a multi-purpose facility with a hotel, a restaurant, and all of the other amenities and stuff. But it was also dedicated to be a community generator, a community use, and those types of things. We hear a lot of talk about us doing this for personal financial gain, and there is a certain amount of this project that needs to be sustainable for itself. But at the same time, like, we dedicated 20 plus years. Sage moved here when she was 2. I moved here when I was 6. I graduated from Indiana University, and I came back to this town because of the potential, because of the future of this. And I believe that there is a large part of the future generation that needs not only to have amenities and things to do, but also housing opportunities, places to rent, and stuff like that. So I do see a bright future for this, and I see a bright future for our community.
And we couldn't do it all. Like, the reason that me and Kendall really came back is, I know the park probably plays a little bit into that, but that's not the only reason. The only reason, or not the only reason, the main reason that we came back is because of all of you guys. You guys all care about this town. You love this town. The only reason that we're here is because there is potential. There is people that care about the youth, that care about the future. And like, we wouldn't be here if we didn't have those people, and I wouldn't be here if there wasn't a future here.
I appreciate that, ladies. Well said. The thing I would also like to kind of just address, like I literally went to every commercial space that I knew of in this town, every single one. So whether it be Taco Bell, Tractor Supply, the grocery store, every single one. Every one of them you can see residential space in. There isn't one. Like this isn't Chicago or a large city where you can have like completely isolated space. There is always going to be a little bit of dual purposes touching. You just, in our town, the size of it, you just can't get away from that. The things I would challenge you on to think about is when you envision these kind of projects and you look at, this is a several $1 million investment, okay? Aesthetics drive property values and drives values of everything that we do, okay? Whether we like it or not, that's a reality. The property, it needs a facelift of some capacity, okay? If you look at some of the bigger cities, the Carmels and things like that, it takes some sort of infrastructure like this, some kind of catalyst, some kind of a project like this to help stimulate things. This thing is obviously on the main part of the town. And arguably, depending how you look at it, back in the day, it was the center of town. You know, with the old bridge, like literally, there was Main Street right there. There's an Airbnb across the street. There's literally, I attached pictures of the football field. You literally have commercial space touching the existing football field, okay? Improving the aesthetics, improving the draw to this, I think it's by far from a guess. You can look historically, it improves the value of the community. You look at I'll take the Ironworks building in Carmel, if you've ever been there. It's absolutely beautiful. It's got a restaurant at the bottom, high-end living above it. This use does fit and conform to that kind of use.
The other thing is businesses feed off of businesses. Like, our goal is to be able to help the town. Like, there's a statistic that as soon as you get somebody's head to hit the pillow, they spend 3 times more during their stay. So that's fuel, that's food, that's housing, whatever it is. And the other thing is the Badlands and tourism itself, throughout the town, whether it's Turkey Run or anything like that, is already drawing statistically 150,000 people through Attica every year. So we could sit by, like, those 150,000 people aren't going to change. What we can change is capitalizing off of those 150,000 people already and catapult the growth of Attica.
And that's what I would say is, like, a lot of times what we fall into is, like, if you don't own a gas station, or if you don't own a restaurant, or if you don't own one of those businesses that feed off those tourism dollars, you'd sit back and you would say, how does this benefit me? Okay, well, I would ask that differently and say, I'll guarantee that all of you know somebody that works in one of the restaurants that those people, or one of the businesses that those people spend dollars. And that's what turns back into our community.
And we all can't forget the obvious things. So that was an elementary school prior, as everybody knows. There was buses, there was hundreds and hundreds of kids, there was parents dropping off twice a day. And actually, and you can go over this as well, the backside of the school, I don't forget what street that is, was the main drop-off every single time. And we're actually going to be changing the flow. So the entrance of the hotel is actually on the front, the main traffic street anyway.
Yeah, and I did some rough calculations. I pulled it up from the superintendent. So, I mean, basically that at its peak, they had a little over 500 students in that building, okay? So if you take that, you take staff. I mean, that building and the traffic patterns we're accustomed to close to 600 people. You add a football game. This is like, there is traffic that was flowing through that. The other big thing is, when we talk about school, if I've heard two big things that is consistent in our community, and one of that is going to be the school system, and the other one's housing, right? So we take the school system. That $500,000 of the purchase price goes directly back into the school system. That is their money, and it goes back. Okay. The next part of that is the holding cost in that building, which is taxpayer funded, is $45,000 currently per year. Okay. So for them to get that off of their rolls is very important. The building is sat vacant for about 3 summers now. Being in the building, like the gym floor is heaved due to being, no air conditioning. There's water leaks. Something has to happen. I think it's kind of what we have. I mean, I'd like to hear any questions anybody has, or input, or thoughts.
That's questions.
What on the football field, you were talking about it being a venue space, and you know, do you have any definition of what might be, or how that might be? I guess one of the concerns that I've heard a lot of people have asked me is, we're going to have Rolling Stones,
Very
So-
respectful question.
yeah.
If we're a community, you know who I am. You know the property that we have. If we were doing a Rolling Stone concert, it most certainly would not be in the center of town. We have other property to utilize a large scale event like that. I've got to put the word on venue like that because, I mean, we are trying to draw tourism dollars. So, if a golf outing wants to have something out there, there's a tent involved, things like that, a wedding, all these kind of things, that is considered a venue space. Our goal is not to produce, large concerts, or like a football game is very loud.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, most of our uses like is much quieter than what the existing purpose was. And I do want to revisit that, like the fact that it is a structure. It's not like a vacant piece of property that we're building something new. We are in the challenge of repurposing it.
And you had said there's a potential for it to be the soccer field.
Yeah. so-
How would that work with, most of the soccer games are Saturday and Sunday, correct?
Saturday.
So how would that interfere with a venue? Most people would want to have a venue on the weekend.
Yeah, so projected probably, I mean, we if approved, I would say we would probably be in constructions in under a year for sure. So we got all the permits, everything figured out. But I would say it's going to be a couple years till we touch the football field, other than maintenance and just kind of keeping it clean. And that's where we want to find other purposes. And I'm not saying it stops there. We are, again, can't say it enough, we are community minded. So if we can multi-use things like that, like that's our goal.
And currently with soccer, we've not been able to have any other schools come into town for soccer. because our field is not regulation size.
Yeah.
So, I've been able to bring any other schools into town to utilize a soccer field. We've had to travel. So I'm kind of unbiased here, but this would bring additional people into the community.
Yeah.
So I've not reached out to anybody. I've not approached this subject with anybody until I know what's going on. This could lead to games during the evenings occasionally. They don't tend to run very late though.
No, I'm not opposed to the soccer. I'm asking about as far as interference, if it's going to happen on a Saturday or Sunday and he wants to have a venue there, then that may not allow for the soccer. So-
Ideally, we would have them during the evening.
So does it go here and then there?
I think it goes
They got
Yeah, it
a
goes-
I will
goes
answer
up
whatever
here.
we're.
Another,
Are we, is it us right now?
Yeah.
And then we're going, okay.
oh, go ahead.
I just had a question because I've heard people be concerned about, are people going to bring in their big trailers and park them there
So I
and
mean,
then ride off?
I need to be honest, okay? Yes, like 100%. I'm not here to hide that fact. But like, I challenge you guys to think about this, okay? I understand that an ATV is no different than a motorcycle. There's motorcycles that run around all the time, right? And the thing that I need everybody to understand is this is not Attica. And I understand it may upset you or whoever, I get that. I totally respect it, I do. But proven across the East Coast, there is major influx in infrastructure for projects much bigger than whole trail systems where towns are embracing these kind of projects. And I'm not trying to be, facetious or anything like that. There's 150,000 people that go through 3968 North Xavier Road. Okay, that's not going to change. Okay, the thing that you guys need to decide is if the town wants to benefit from that. Okay, again, I could build this out there. I could build it cheaper out there, but the town does not benefit from that. I truly believe it's historically proven, and I will go on the record that I think it's important that the administration on both sides, this meeting and the next meeting, you decide as a community if you want to embrace that or not. That's a decision that every citizen has to make. But I do believe in this. And again, there would drive by Kendall's. Trucks and trailers, I think was the direct question.
Is there going to be like a specific lot for them to park on
Yeah,
Kyle up there?
Yeah, so the goal, and that's kind of why I had to be a little open with the football field. As far as homeowners and parking on the streets, we will sustain our parking as far as that kind of stuff on the property. As you guys know, the one property had school buses on it. There's still school buses right now. We're gonna basically connect all of those all of that parking and increase the parking to be able to sustain. And that's where like a little bit of that, we have to keep the football field space open so that if we do get issues like that, we can expand parking into that. But again, I want to reemphasize, it's a multi-purpose facility. So again, it's 35 hotel rooms. Let's call it max 45, right? So it's not like there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. There's a limited use for that.
Did you have another question?
And all traffic will be sent in from the highway or from the backside?
So
Because you're saying you're connecting the parking lots, so.
yeah.
is-
So I can't, it would be like the grocery store. They can't control where people come from. There's openings and different things. What we control is the front of the building, okay? So the facade or the front of the building is the main side of the building facing the back.
So would the hotel registration be as you come into there, you would go into the Jackson Street entrance
Yes.
for the hotel?
Yeah, so existing, the current, like, it's the same as how the school was. We're gonna do some different stuff with the ceilings and stuff if we're permitted, and we're the kind of like the main registration office, that will all change, but it passes through both sides. But yes, like the main side of the entry and like if from the restaurant and the like event space in the building would all face Jackson Street. Jackson Street's the main one. Yeah.
Not Washington where the other residential.
Correct. Washington's the, yeah.
Oh, hold on. We're not ready just yet. Sorry. We're gonna have to, sorry, give me just a second. Is there anybody else that has any current questions? We can come back and for questions
I'm good.
as well.
I'm good.
You're good for right now? Okay. We can obviously, we reserve the right.
I'll just put on record that I really like the idea of the soccer field being moved to the football field for simple fact that it's hard for those kids to play. They would be running down and hit a divot and just fall. So I've watched many years of my niece playing, and it's not fun to watch them fall constantly. So to have a space like the football field would be nice to, because everything's there. There's bathrooms, there's concessions, there's stadium seats, there's everything. So I'm gonna put on record, I would like to see that happen if it's possible.
Okay, so if we're all done, then we can open it up. We have about 25 minutes currently, but I don't want anybody to think that that's all the time we have. That's why we are extending until next Monday. Yeah, we'll try to leave it to about 2 to 3 minutes per person to talk if possible. So if you have questions or anything, or maybe if you've written a statement or anything like that, we would love to hear from you. We just ask that you come up to the front podium if you have questions or want to say anything, and make sure you say your first and last name as well.
Do I answer any questions?
Ye- I think yes. Yeah.
They should speak to you.
Okay.
And if you want them to answer questions, so it doesn't turn into this.
Back and forth.
Yeah.
Okay.
That'll not go
Go what?
very well.
Okay.
And you should start with the people who received certified letters.
Would anybody like to speak that received a certified letter? Chad would like to speak.
Quick question. No, hold on. My name is Chad Kirst. I live at 509 East Washington Street, directly across from the grade school. Quick question for Kyle. The highway does not allow razors or four-wheelers or anything on it by law. So therefore, the only way for all of those vehicles to get out of the parking lot is to come directly in front of our community. I will state that they won't just go down one road. For anybody who lives anywhere that is between there and Perry Street, they will get flooded. So that's, or that's a statement. Now I'll continue. I've written something up. Bear with me. I had a little surgery this morning, but we're still here. All right. The core problem with this proposal is simple. This rezoning is not being requested because it's good for Attica. It's being requested because the buyer made rezoning to B2 the maximum, buyer made rezoning to B2 and maximum tax abates contractual requirements in the purchase of this agreement, signed with the school board. Their own contract gave them 90 days from February 27th to obtain rezoning. That deadline was May 28th. We're now 10 days past that date, and the buyer is already in default of his agreement. They originally told the school board this was to become a multi-purpose community center. Instead, they're proposing a hotel, restaurant, bar, event space, and short-term rentals. The plans show a large restaurant with what appears to be a stage area, while there's a small space labeled as community center. It's clearly only a minor part of a much larger commercial operation. This is not appropriate for a quiet residential neighborhood. It will bring increased traffic, late night noise, light pollution, parking issues directly across from the street with families that have children. Additionally, the buyer is asking the city to give up significant tax revenues through maximum tax abates, while surrounding homeowners will bear negative impacts in their property values anytime something's changed to a business district. It's anywhere from 8 to 15% drop for at least me right across the street. And it slows down a little bit as you get further out. I don't think that's fair to us in Attica. I just don't. Critical context from this purchase agreement, according to the offer to the purchase accepted by Attica Consolidated School Corporation on February 27th, 2026, the buyer, KSK Properties, Attica Vacation Rentals LLC, agreed to pay $500,000 for the property. This offer is explicitly contingent upon the buyer obtaining rezoning to B12 General Business District and receiving maximum tax abatements. The buyer originally represented to the school board that the building would be converted into a multi-purpose community center. If everybody would take time to look up that definition, it is not what a hotel and bar and restaurant are. Yet, he's pursuing these. This rezoning request is driven by a private contractual obligation rather than community planning or need. The buyer made rezoning to B2 and tax abatements required conditions in their purchase agreement with the school board. As a result, the rezoning is being pursued primarily to allow the buyer to complete a private real estate transaction on favorable terms, rather than because the city or the community independently determined that the commercial development of this scale and intensity is appropriate in an established residential area, such as mine. Tax abatements would remove revenue from the community. This is all of us, folks, all of us. Tax abatements would remove revenue from the community. The purchase agreement requires the buyer to receive the maximum possible tax abatements allowed by law. This means the city would be asked to significantly reduce or forgive property taxes on the new commercial development for multiple years. Local taxpayers would effectively subsidize a private commercial project through lost public revenue, while neighboring residents bear an immediate negative impact. Infrastructure and safety concerns before rezoning is approved. The following studies should be required. Professional structural engineering assessment of aged school building, independent traffic impact study, and parking analysis. A phase 1 environmental site assessment, asbestos, lead, all of that. This building was built in the 60s. Utility, sewer, and stormwater drain capacity. And I will tell you, it rained hard today and my street was moving fast with water, thick. I don't know we can handle it. Noise and lighting impact study. I mean, these things I would have hoped were going to be presented to us today by Mr. Noss. I respectfully request the Attica Advisory Plan Commission recommend denial of this rezoning petition to the City Common Council. In an alternative, if approval is considered, it should include strict conditions such as adequate buffering, noise, and operational hours restrictions, enhanced parking requirements, and traffic migration and traffic impact migration. The project should also be required to deliver the community benefits originally represented to the school board. And if I was on the school board and I thought a community center was going to come in, boy, I would have signed that paper too. I would have. Thank you for your consideration, or for considering these objections and those of others here today. I plan to attend all public hearings from this point on, regardless of whether this goes through or not. I love this city. I grew up here. I grew up on Washington Street. My wife grew up in the house that we live in. I treasure you having the Badlands. I think it's a great thing. I've always said that. This, I do not believe, is the best thing we could do. I'm fine with S or R3s, anything in R3, B2, I cannot. Thank you guys very much for listening to me today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I address any of those issues or just?
What do you think?
However you want to do it. You want to go point by point, that's fine.
4.
You have 4.
Could we have our people speak or?
Right.
I'm I'm okay. I'm almost thinking that we would have like a good portion speak right now. If you're okay with taking notes, only because we're going to have to extend. Are you okay with that? Okay. Name, please.
Sharon Ward Woods. And I am shaking like crazy. My dad was a politician and I am not a politician. I was a high school teacher and as a matter of fact, a former student right there.
Here too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have it too.
So I will try to make this quick. I was an English major, so I tend to be wordy, so, just shut me up when you're ready. I live on 119 Sherry Lane, and you can't believe I'm standing here right now to talk. I'm concerned about all of those things that he talked about. I'm concerned especially about the football field because my house sits right on the football field. I'm right at the corner of the golf course and football field. And when you started talking venues, it's like my heartbeat went fast because we can hear the music from the Badlands and fairly well. And so when you start talking about music on the football field, I think, oh my gosh, no. And let's say it's a wedding venue, because there are wedding venues. That could run almost every weekend from May through September. And many of the weddings I've been to, it's like we need OSHA to come in and measure it because those young people like loud music. And they're going to want it loud. And I don't blame them, but I don't want it right behind all of our houses there on Sherry Lane or whatever, on the other side, whatever that street's called. That really concerns me. And football fields, yes, I'm used to having football fields on, maybe Thursday and Friday nights. And I love to hear the football games. I was a teacher. I love to hear kids out there having a good time. And, but it was a seasonal thing, and it was a short season. And, they were done by practically 9 o'clock. And then you could, hear your TV and go to bed at a decent hour. Weddings are not going to be like that. They're going to be out there 11, 12, sometimes after that, if they can keep paying the disc jockey or whoever it is, whatever they use now, to keep playing on a nice night, that they don't want to be inside the building to, they want to be outside because it's a nice night on a June night. So I'm really concerned about that. And I have good neighbors that are sitting there talking about, well, if that comes in and we have to put up with that, I'm going to move. They're going to move, and I don't want my good neighbors to move. I've lived, either on Sherry Lane or Susie Lane all my life. And if it gets that bad, we're going to have to move, and I don't want to move. I think I'm a decent Attican. I'm involved in my church, and I'm involved in charities, and I'm involved in things, and I don't want to have to move because I don't want to get emotional, but I care about Attica too. Anyway, I guess you said 2 minutes, and I probably have exceeded that, so I'll stop.
We appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you very
you.
much.
Okay.
Thank you.
My name is Kimberly Kirst. I live at 509 East Washington Street, and I have a speech prepared, but I think I'm just going to wing it a little bit because there were things that were brought up. I can speak for probably the best for anybody here about what traffic was like when the school was there. I lived there as a child. I live there now as an adult. It was my childhood home. My parents gifted it to me, and I have lived there for the last 8 years. So I do know what the traffic was like. It was twice a day for about 30 minutes each day. Not that big of a deal. Most of us were either leaving for work or already at work for morning drop off. You might have still been at work for afternoon pickup or just getting home. There were times it was hard to find a parking space in front of your house, but we were patient with it because it was a school. The school buses, not a big deal. They're on the other side of the street. The noise was minimal and it was short. The football games, yep, they're noisy. but it's a season. It's for a couple hours, a few Friday nights or Thursday nights in the fall. And those that lived here all of our life, we support our school. Most of us weren't at home. We were at the football field. We weren't at home listening to the noise. We were up there being the noise. So I do respect the Badlands. I'm grateful for everything that they have brought to this community. I do think they bring a lot of traffic. I do think those people do shop in our communities. I just don't want it to cross the street from me. I also am concerned with the rezoning. What does that mean if it's ever resold? What can be there? If this property gets rezoned and the prospective buyer either doesn't complete the project or it fails and they sell it, what can go there next? That could potentially affect the future of Attica for a very long time if it is something that could negatively impact the community, just like I feel like this will. I don't want the razors in front of my house going up and down the road. And respectfully to Mr. Noss, I understand that you're saying the razors can't go there. Yes, motorcycles are allowed, but there's not 15 or 20 of them going by your house all at the same time. Will there be residential parking signs put up to ensure that they won't park in front of my house? That I will always have a place to park? Will there be speed bumps put in to ensure that they're not going to go as fast as possible? Golf carts go up and down our street all the time. Golf carts can only go a certain speed. Razors can go faster than that. Four-wheelers can go faster than that. They're much louder than that. So yes, the question that was asked about, will there be trailers parked there, trucks and trailers? Yes, they will, because if they're coming here to go to the Badlands, they're trailering in their RZRs. They're going to park there, which faces Washington Street. And when they back their RZRs off, they can't go to the highway. They've got to come down Washington Street. They'll go around the corner and go down College Street. So it's not just going to affect us. It's going to affect the entire community. We already hear complaints about them going up and down Perry Street. There's already complaints about that. So I'm concerned about the noise. I'm concerned about the traffic. But like I said before about everybody keeps comparing it to when the school was there, there is no comparison. And how does this, I know Attica is looking for long-term living. If this is supposed to benefit the city of Attica, how does that help with that? There could be apartments being put there for long-term, not short-term rentals. The short-term rentals are people going to the Badlands. People in Attica, the residents of Attica are not going to use the hotel. They may or may not patron the restaurant. Is it a sustainable business? Is there a need for a 35 to 45 room hotel? Thank you.
Okay, so it's about almost 5:00. So what I would like to, I'm afraid to have somebody else come up just because I don't want to run over our time. But we would like to extend this or continue this meeting into next Monday. So that'll be Monday, June 15th at 5:00. We would love to see everybody come back again. We want to gather as much information. If you have anything, can they submit still in writing or no?
Sure.
You could still submit things in writing if you'd like, or hopefully you can make it. If not,
No, I was just gonna point to the gentleman so he can address, because he was put on hold.
oh yeah, I'm hoping. Are you okay with waiting till the next meeting to address? Are you?
Well, I was hoping to hear now because it's an immediate address of
They may not
this
come back.
gentleman over here is concerned.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, go ahead.
I can rattle off real quick if that works for you guys. All right, so abatement, I want to address abatement. It is a zero tax-based property right now. School is not paying money, okay? So it's not a take, it's a plus. Second, most abatements go off of the development of the property. So existing property, like whatever the value of that would be paid in taxes, there's a couple variations, but more importantly, it's a zero producing property right now. There's minimal outside construction, if anything, so the existing building is already there, so there's no change in that. You brought up about the contract. The contract stated that I had to apply for zoning, not receive zoning, so we're not in void of that. And the other thing is the pictures. So all of this has not fundamentally changed one bit since I presented it to the school. It wasn't a bait and switch. This is exactly what we've been doing. Music in the thing I would challenge you guys there at McDonald's Park. Play music, it's not a problem. Just ask you to think about that. Traffic times. The thing with the school is basically, yeah, it's peak flow in the morning, peak flow in the evening, right, or in the afternoon. Our uses, I feel, is much more leveled out, where people are coming and going more evenly. Like, it's not there was 500 students there at its peak. So I would challenge you to think about that. The other thing, I want to reemphasize, this is not just for the Badlands. Here, I am a business person. I wouldn't jump millions into a project and not have done my due diligence. So for example, think about how many schools use the golf course. How many activities can happen on one of the top 10 golf courses if you can ride your golf course or take a school bus and go to the golf course? This project supports other businesses. The other thing, there's 7 current wedding venues in our area. None of them have lodging. So this is to benefit other uses and help facilitate other businesses. Airbnbs. There's already Airbnbs all around town. I don't own them all, okay? You take the one across the street, all right? There's already, that's part of Badlands' income. Unfortunately, it's like you're gonna have that. Other people are gonna benefit that. And that's part of a community growing together. Change is inevitable in some fashion, I say again. And it's like Budrose and all those kind of places. They're spending money there and that's why they're there. So I think that's most of the things that pop up.
Can I ask you a question about the track? You mentioned using it for a soccer field and all that, which is good, but there are a lot of people that use the track now and the football field. I mean, I see people eat football out there in certain seasons whether they're playing Saturdays or whatever. And there are multiple people that use the track, ride the track, run the track, whatever. And so one, I'm just concerned, is the track still gonna be there? And two, is there gonna be access, or will it end up being a yearly membership or something?
And I know we're running out of time, I'll just quickly kind of hop into that real quick. So again, the football field is something that we're kind of kicking down the can for development, down the road. It's not the first thing that we're gonna do. And I promise you, love me or hate me, I really try to live up to what I say, okay? And I'm a handshake kind of guy. And the big thing I would say is, I don't wanna say anything that I can't promise. But I can tell you this, until we find a use, our plan is to work with the community, whether it be soccer, people, we'll put up some use your own risk type stuff. We want to let people be able to use it we want it to be something that benefits people. So until the need needs to change, it will be open and just like it is now. And lastly, I do want to end kind of on this note. Guys, you got it here. The school board, it was open for bid. And I understand, I respect you guys, and I thank you for the kind words, and I do understand both sides of this coin. The thing that I do want to emphasize to you guys is the school can't make somebody come in and buy this. Their only option is what's presented to them and the people that want to buy it. Unfortunately for some of you, I get it, I respect it. We were the only ones, and we were the high bidders. It has been open. There's been multiple opportunities. Nobody else has come up with a use for that. It's not the city's or this board's ability to be able to make it a pool or make it this. It's subject to private investment of some sort. So I know you're pressed for time, but
Yeah.
He gets to talk. Why don't we get to talk?
Oh.
He gets to talk as much.
there's gonna be another meeting.
So we just, hold
That was
on.
my fault, just for him to address the points that other
Yeah,
gentlemen drew up.
Sue, can you hear me? Sue, can you hear me? Sorry, I don't know if you can see me. Sorry.
I don't want to come up.
No, you don't have to come up there.
So this is gonna be my front yard.
No, because we have another meeting at 5, we're just gonna continue it till next Monday at 5:00 so that we want to hear from everybody. We want to give everybody enough time to do it. So that's the only reason why we're stopping it right now, is because we have another meeting at 5, but we're just gonna continue it, and I'm happy to stay next week for as long as anybody wants to talk, because I don't want anybody to feel like they can't speak. I want everybody to be able to talk about it as much, and feel free to call me. I'm not gonna put my name or my phone number on YouTube, but but feel free to call me. I'm happy to give you my number if anybody wants to chat. So, but we appreciate you all. We are gonna continue the meeting, the hearing into next Monday June 15th at 5 o'clock. Please plan to attend. We would love to see you all still there. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Yeah, she was, yeah. Tenth grading. Hang in there.